I'm so pleased to be here with Maya Rose and with you today. My name is Steve Parlato, and I'll be sharing some poetry and some images from a series that I've created called They Are Not Disposable. Each of the portraits is of a Black American whose life was stolen due to racial violence. The first is a picture of Breonna Taylor, and the poem is titled Hosting the Stolen. For Breonna, Tamir, Cynthia, Ray Shard, all the rest, lacking the melanin required for membership, I have become host to meetings of the stolen. With no preset time or day, they come to me late and early, straight from drive-through lanes and snow-scudded city parks, from Bible circles, from sleep-tangled sheets, from family visits to the treacherous Jim Crow South. Navigating the fields of judgment, river of lies, they line my squat couch to share their aspirations, their daily joys, daughter dancing, skittles and sweet tea, their undoings. Laying down the weapon of my whiteness, I follow each doomed soul into the reeds of sorrow, knowing I must emerge alone, must ready to welcome the next. The second poem accompanies a portrait of Elijah McClain. The poem is titled Shelter Cats Mourn, and I called it that because Elijah volunteered at an animal hospital playing his violin to calm the animals. Shelter Cats Mourn, for Elijah McClain. The old Abyssinian clears her throat. Her whiskers flick impatient as kittens dart weave in eager rows. They've coaxed her into sharing their favorite fable, the one about the black angel and how he poured his music through cage mesh, his melodies kissing temple tufts, caressing silk backs. Soft as gauze felt, mouse cheeks, his tunes were shields for strays' ears, softening the sharp buzz clank of armored doors, soothing the hissing mule of new arrivals. Too young, too new to have known his bright there-ness, they shiver still in his ever-absence, wondering at the cold silence of his lost violin.
Hello, folks at home. Welcome to Speak Your Mind. Thank you so much, Steve Parlato, our featured artist today. Let's just take a breath and have just a little bit of moment of silence, I feel like is in order. So just at home, if you just want to close your eyes and let's just, thank the spirit of these incredible angels in heaven right now who are allowing us to tell their story and hopefully create some change so that future generations do not have to suffer the same horrors that they did, and for giving us the privilege to be able to use our art to speak their stories and give them voice where they have none. So thank you.
Amen.
Wow. So Steve Parlato, They Are Not Disposable. What a title. And before we get into our writing prompt, as we always do for the folks at home, I would love to know what inspired you specifically to take on this project.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for hosting me, Maya Rose. I'm so thrilled to be here. The project grew out of my frustration with the continued violence against Black Americans, specifically in the wake of George Floyd's murder. I wanted to do something, and I didn't feel comfortable marching with the pandemic happening. And it was Breonna Taylor's birthday, and so I created a portrait of her. And the portraits are all created using stuff that you would throw away, pizza boxes, old magazine pages, junk mail, that sort of thing. So it ties into the title of They Are Not Disposable.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's very cool. I did not know that.
Yes.
That is, I love that. That is deep.
Thank you.
That is deep because that's how often, I think many people feel, but especially Black people in America, and especially to those who have suffered such injustice and brutality, feel like a piece of trash on the street, overlooked and forgotten. So very brilliant. So our writing prompt today, we're not going to do a brainstorm, but of course, if you need a little warm-up, you can go to a past episode and do a brainstorm. I will do it again in the future, but for today, we're going a little bit deep, so we're going to forgo the brainstorm. And for our writing prompt, grab a pen, join us. The prompt is, how can we make people care? And so Steve was kind enough to give us this writing prompt, which I love. And we are going to actually do it as a collaboration poem. You could do it any way you want at home, but we each wrote a couple stanzas. I did 4, he did 3. You could do like 5 to 10 lines. Grab a friend, a family member, a neighbor, someone you don't know, have them write 4 to 5 lines, 3 to 4 stanzas, and then read it back and forth and just see how it flows. It's a nice little challenge. And so let's go ahead and get started for folks at home with our writing prompt. And let's give it a go. I'm very curious to see what we both came up with.
Yes,
and
sure.
how we can maybe inspire ourselves and inspire other people to care. All right, so how can we make people care? All right, so I'm going to start it off.
Yeah.
All right. Shout at the sky, summoning a mighty force, soaring my throat, raw, bruised, and bloody, on deaf ears in TV land.
First, admit, not to them, you cannot grasp their lack. Don't start small. While the golden toad's extinction hits you with Shakespearean force, they'll likely counter, amphibians are gross. Instead, try leading with plastic-choked dolphins, with felled towers of giraffes. Dead mammals just might kindle empathy.
Be the change in silent demonstration, aching inside to bite my tongue for a better day, when prayers matter more than might.
Wildfires and tornadoes, scorched koalas, leveled towns just might help loosen locked hearts. But beware, mention of climate change puts you on crumbling ground, sends them jonesing for conspiracy comfort. Sadly, Sandy Hook, her many snatched souls is a dead end, miring compassion in blinded gun love.
Share a thought, to some words that break the bubble long enough to get in logic and emotion, to take root in 100 years forward.
How can we make the uncaring care? With scraps of the lives of the precious taken. Khalif, deans listed before despair claimed him. Brianna, uniformed, beaming. Sweet Ayana in grandmom's arms. I honor their shattered pieces with scissors, glue, layered lives laid down in words, colors. See them, care.
Create an art which penetrates so deeply into the visceral pulp of molecules created in a time-space which remembered love and spilled out poetry.
That was amazing.
I swear we did not write that together. I swear we did not write that together.
We didn't.
Isn't that
but
amazing?
They meshed
And
so
mesh.
beautifully, yeah.
And mesh.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of all poetry, all collaboration poetry. And I think with the format, again, go back to our brainstorm, kind of look up how to write poetry. If you line it, I do line by line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just write line to line, you'd be so surprised. It always works. 100% always works. You don't have to sit and think about your subject, think about your title, think about what you're going to write. You just go line by line, let the heart speak, and it creates something absolutely incredible. And that literally, I think it took me like 2 minutes to write. How about you?
Yeah, for real. And something that I've been doing lately is writing on my phone while I'm out on these long walks, because it's wonderful time to think and let ideas percolate. And I type on my phone, and then, you know, so many thoughts come, and you're not so worried about perfection in that moment.
Right.
You're just trying to capture them and let your heart speak.
Yeah, and you know, and that's me. You know, the main reason I like to do this show is for the people at home who either are writers or want to write or secretly are writing and feel like they don't really have a outlet or a platform or someone to maybe kind of fill in some of those beginner gaps. You know, because I think that it could be very intimidating because, you know, whenever you watch someone on TV who's a famous author and they talk about their process and they talk about how they discipline themselves every day to sit down and they think of ideas, it could seem so hard. And the reality is, like, everyone can write if they're if it's given to them in small, digestible pieces. So being able to go out for a walk and just see what thoughts come up on your head and jot it down, you know, doing it line by line, getting a friend or family member to even go I do one line, you do one line. You will create something that's just as powerful and just as beautiful as everyone lined up in the novel, poetry, writing, essay section at Barnes & Noble. Everybody has something to say. And I love this topic that you gave us, how do we get people to care? Because I kind of feel like my mission as a poet is to be able to get people to care without having to preach or be in their face. And what I love about your series, They Are Not Disposable, and you taking on the subject matter, and we've had this conversation before about, like, one of my biggest pet peeves is the bumper sticker Black Lives Matter people, the people who have, like, the little billboard in their front yard, Black Lives Matter, but they're not really having the deep conversation. They don't really have a lot of friends who are of diverse nature. You know, they kind of, everything is for, like, the membership to the club, the poster on the wall, but there's no real heart, no real something. There's something missing. And it's like, and you don't really know what it is until you sort of see it or know those people. So it's like, you know, I'm not really pointing fingers at anyone specifically, but there's an energy to it. I think that there's a disconnect. And when I first heard your writing and then went to your studio, I'm like, all right, this guy gets it. Because I don't believe only Black people can talk about Black Lives Matter or only white people. I think we're all in it together. Yeah. You know, no change happens when it's just monochromatic. I think we all, like, men have to help women, women have to help men with, you know, feminist issues. Black people and white people need to come together with race issues. And I feel like you do it so well with the way you write your pieces, the essay, and the artwork. So I want to, like, I just want to delve into your mind and have you share a little bit about maybe that topic as well as the collage pieces itself.
Sure. So I think what you just said is so important, that I did have that sort of feeling initially of, should I be doing this work? Who am I to be doing this work? But I think that there's the misconception that racism doesn't affect us all. When Black people are having their lives stolen in front of me, I have to respond to that. I think that it's essential that we remember people, right? We're all human beings, and the whole history of this country and of racism is the sort of ripping away of humanity and of personhood. And so with my collage series, I've gotten to know each of the people that I'm portraying. I've done kind of a deep dive research into their lives, and I'm trying to honor their lives, not just memorialize the horrible way that their lives were stolen, but give the viewer kind of a peek into who they were and the potential that we lost when they were taken out of the world. So the series is 16 portraits, people from different walks of life, different moments in history, different gender, you know, different places on the gender spectrum, all of that diversity. Because again, when we think of Black Lives Matter, too often we think that there's one certain thing that is a Black person, you know, one certain background, one certain experience. And although I don't personally share the experience of being a person of color in the world, I've gotten to know several different people through this series on really deep levels, and the heartbreaking aspect of what their families have lost.
Yeah,
you know, and what we all
when you
have
feel
lost.
it deeply and you feel that vulnerability, you understand that no matter the color of your skin, you're susceptible to that kind of treatment, which is why I want to be very clear. When I, call out the sort of, bumper sticker Black Lives Matter people, there's Black people who I would call bumper sticker Black Lives Matter people. There's a lot of people who are speaking at famous universities, and they're on TV, and they're talking heads, and they have all the degrees behind them, and they're talking about Black issues, but they're super far removed from actually, like I said, having a conversation and taking it to a level I feel like that gets into the heart of people, other than just the political bullet points.
Right.
And I am a person, I have a white mother, and I feel like my white mother is more Black than my Black dad. So I know it's not just about skin. And I do believe in past lives, we were all different colors. So I think that you can be a very strong Black Lives Matter advocate at the heart, visceral level as a white person, sometimes even more so than a Black person. So anyone who's heard me say that, understand the nuance of what I'm talking about.
And I think it's essential for white people to be involved, right? Because for too long, we've relied on people of color to solve problems that they did not create. Yeah. And so there's something really hypocritical about that. So I think that...
And white people historically were just as wounded by slavery as Black people. If you were a member of a family and you didn't like what was going on, but you had to follow suit, you were intimidated just as much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can talk about this till the cows come home, so I'll have to have you back on, especially to have you come and do some more, because it's a series of 16. But I want you to let the folks know at home how they can find your PowerPoint, how can they find you, how can they find out more about this project, They Are Not Disposable.
Sure. One easy way is Facebook or Instagram. I'm on both of those. I have a website, stephenparlato.com, which is woefully out of date, so these collages are not on there. But I'm also an author, so I have a couple of books out in the world. If you're interested, with the internet, I'm easy enough to find.
Beautiful.
And I've been doing a lot of events at libraries and other venues to really facilitate conversations around this topic. I think that that's a main thrust of the series, is to get people talking, and the conversation is sometimes very uncomfortable, but really necessary.
Yeah, and you're going to get people talking a little bit more because you have another poem for us, another couple poems for us.
I have a couple more poems.
Awesome. So folks at home, speak your mind. Do not go anywhere because Steve is going to give us some more of his profound, deep poetry. So stay tuned.
So I do have two more poems. The first poem is for a young woman named Latasha Harlins. Latasha was wrongfully suspected of shoplifting in a convenience store, and that led to her death. The poem for Latasha is called No Safety in Numbers. For Latasha Harlins. Is it deflection? This impulse pulling me again to process her loss via numbers? Safer, perhaps, than inviting in images. Blood-splashed backpack, scatter of snack cakes where she fell. I manage to push those back, keep calculating, even as the numbers misbehave. No balance, no logic, just jangled equations lined up in infinite deadly patterns. Her shot-shattered skull, $2 clutched in a dead girl's fist. No solving a problem that starts one black girl plus one shopkeeper, divide by implicit bias, add 12 ounces of Tropicana. If a bullet costs 50 cents, how can 15 years of dreams be worth just $1.79? And the final poem is what I think of as the final poem of the series. My intention is to compile the images and the poetry into a book and to use some of the proceeds from that book to support equal justice. So there's an opening poem, Hosting the Stolen, which I read earlier, and a closing poem, Holy Stations. I picture the 16 stolen souls, black faces mosaicked from ripped gift paper, from frozen pizza boxes, from Easter foil wisps and printed prayers. Scissored, glued, these reconstructed cast-offs smile, safely sealed beneath sheets of glass, though safety tricked them in parks and church basements, in grocery aisles, on grandmom's couch. They regard onlookers who stop before each station to witness, ponder, pray, perhaps even confess past transgressions. The martyred saints hang silent against gallery white. In black goodwill frames, they offer no assurance as each pilgrim pleads, "Forgive us our trespasses."